Artificial intelligence is currently the most expensive arms race on the planet. For years, Microsoft and OpenAI operated as the undisputed leaders of the boom, culminating in OpenAI pushing for a valuation of $830 billion. To secure that dominance, Microsoft made a massive financial commitment, publicly pledging $13 billion to the startup since 2019. But Microsoft didn't actually wire $13 billion in cash to OpenAI's bank accounts. Instead, they handed over customized digital vouchers for their own Azure cloud servers. Inside this closed loop, Microsoft issues digital credits. OpenAI uses them to rent Microsoft's hardware. Microsoft logs this as Azure cloud revenue. Wall Street rewards this growth. Microsoft's stock surges, adding billions, entirely without real external dollars entering the system. Corporate accountants track this using a metric called remaining performance obligation, which is essentially guaranteed future revenue. Right now, 45% of Microsoft's future guaranteed cloud revenue is tied directly to OpenAI. Microsoft built a multi-trillion-dollar market capitalization partially on the back of an unemployed tenant that pays rent using Microsoft's own artificial currency. That digital loop works perfectly on a spreadsheet, but in the physical world, OpenAI is projecting $14 billion in actual hard cash losses for 2026 alone. The servers required to train generative AI age incredibly fast. A top-tier GPU purchased today becomes functionally obsolete and requires total replacement in 18 to 36 months. To keep the infrastructure current, Microsoft's capital expenditures spiked by 66% in a single quarter, hitting $37.5 billion. And you can't just buy your way out of the hardware bottleneck. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company produces the advanced chips these data centers need. Right now, global corporate demand outpaces their physical factory capacity by a factor of 3. Sourcing the raw materials and processing the copper and silicon required for these data centers demands massive, sprawling industrial operations. Once installed, those chips run incredibly hot. To prevent the silicon from literally melting, a single hyperscale facility devours millions of gallons of potable drinking water every day. Local governments are noticing their aquifers dropping. City councils are now passing emergency moratoriums to halt new data center construction and protect their municipal water supplies. Azure cloud credits cannot be traded for copper wire, poured concrete, or clean water. The physical world requires cash, forcing OpenAI to scramble for real liquidity. Paying off billions in infrastructure debt requires extracting massive profit margins from developers paying for premium API access. But then, foreign developers found a major shortcut. Instead of spending billions to train an AI from scratch, companies like DeepSeek used a technique called model distillation. They query OpenAI's best models, capture the answers, and use that output to train their own lean, efficient architectures. This chart compares the exact pricing math of that market crash. OpenAI was charging $1.75 per million input tokens. DeepSeek matched their architectural performance, but dropped the price to 28 cents. Developers immediately shifted their bulk processing to the cheaper alternatives. This sudden commoditization stripped OpenAI of its high-margin volume, completely eliminating its path to profitability. Microsoft ran the numbers, realizing their partner couldn't repay the principal debt. They pivoted and began aggressively prioritizing their own internal, highly capable AI models, like Phi 4. Microsoft also breached their exclusivity agreement. They opened up the Azure infrastructure to host OpenAI's direct competitors, including xAI and Anthropic. Boxed in, Sam Altman flew to Abu Dhabi, attempting to secure $50 billion from sovereign wealth funds in the UAE. But the U.S. government views frontier AI as critical national security infrastructure, and federal regulators blocked the foreign injection. Out of options, OpenAI secured a $110 billion bailout, backed heavily by Amazon and Oracle. As part of the deal, OpenAI agreed to spend billions on Amazon Web Services, directly cannibalizing Microsoft's Azure ecosystem. The $13 billion marriage is effectively severed. In a mutual scramble for survival, two absolute partners were forced to become hostile competitors. Today, Microsoft is left holding billions in decaying hardware for a tenant that has packed up and moved its processing to Amazon. OpenAI faces a terrifying financial horizon. Their own internal documents project cumulative cash losses reaching $115 billion by 2029. To survive, OpenAI has to drastically alter its core business model. This means risking strict regulatory crackdowns, pushing advertisements onto users, and charging extreme enterprise fees. A company can engineer a flawless digital accounting loop to inflate its stock price, but it is impossible to fake the physical electric bill.